Well, welcome. Now it's my turn, right? You guys went through this.
You're up.
It's my turn. So my background, right? Is that what we're leading?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about, where you're from growing up and kind of what got you into the industry and kind of those early years before Black Mammoth.
So let's go into the deep dive. Born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. Shout out Omaha. Actually, I don't know when this will go out, but as of today, Tuesday, November 23rd, my high school's playing in the championship again. Back to back, looking for back to back. So had to shout out Westside High School, of course.
Westside.
I think I'm going to go back to high school and play golf there because that's the coolest facility I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
They have a golf facility?
Oh, wait till we show you the pictures.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, we're actually going to have it pop up while we're talking about this because it's absolutely amazing.
It's insane.
It's amazing. So growing up, I grew up with a split family. My dad's never really been involved after the age of 3. My mom, being single parent, had to bear a lot of that weight. So I've got that traditional black dad not in the picture or in and out, and it was difficult because my mom has to work as much as she can to raise me, and then being an athlete, and as athletes, it's not cheap, right?
No, not at all.
So I played baseball, was my first love. Then I got into basketball with the Y, got into football, and really those are the 3 main ones, and that took up all my summers, which was kind of difficult on me because my most central father figure was my grandfather. Who's actually not my blood grandfather, but that's another story. A lot more drinks. And he basically raised me the most. Well, from the age of like 2.5 or 3, every summer I would go on the road with him. He's a truck driver. So I've got probably 2 million miles on the road under my own belt. And so every summer, that's what I did all summer long up until you get to that age of sports. And then sports took over. And so now I'm just sports heavy, right? Young age, I either wanted to be a Navy SEAL or an NFL player. Both of those.
Two good options.
2 great options.
Great options.
Went more, tried to go the NFL route, and that didn't work out. And then all my injuries probably would have been tough to be a SEAL, but I still could have.
Yeah, the military doesn't like those injuries.
They don't.
We had that similar aspirations of athletics or military, and which one's it going to be? Pursued that athletics route.
Got hurt.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. So my family overall from a wealth standpoint is more lower class. Maybe low middle, but low income. And so that same mindset was always driven into me, right? Of, just pay your bills to get through. Presents and gifts at Christmas time and stuff like that are to be valued, but also like it took all year to get them, right? Also just not always getting ahead, but living paycheck to paycheck. And so early on, I knew I didn't want that any longer. I wanted to provide more and to be better. So going into high school, I'll go a little back of high school of just patting my own back. I was the 4th freshman ever to start for our high school as a freshman. That was a very interesting situation when we're freshman year, right? You have your tryouts, you have all of those things, and I didn't play at our middle school. I actually played for a traveling team, and like half that team ended up starting in varsity within the first 2 years. So we were a squad. We won nationals and all that stuff, and so like I'm going into the tryouts, and then we're going down to the first practice, and I'm just hanging out with my friends who are freshmen, and we're chatting it up and gonna have a good time. And coach yells, "Oh!" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Right? You're a freshman. Hell,
That's like deja vu for me.
Right? Get up here, right? Get up here. So I just trotted my 185-pound ass up to the varsity, and they're like, "You're with us." Excuse me? Okay, well, I guess we're gonna do this. So fast forward, I'm practicing and doing well, doing fine. I'm playing D-line as a 185-pound freshman. Not great, but I was quick, so I can get around. First game comes, and I will never, ever forget this, right? I'm on kick return. I'm not in the front row. I'm in the middle, right? Because I can catch the ball. I'm a fullback. I have hands. It's speed. And they squib it to me. And
scouting report.
I'm like, get the ball. So all I remember is I get the ball, and I get lit up by 3 dudes. Bellevue East, thanks for that, guys. And just lit up. My helmet is sideways. My chin strap's all over the place. I didn't
Welcome
fumble.
to varsity.
I didn't fumble. And exactly what they said. They said, welcome to varsity, bitch. And I was like, well, this is going to be a road. However, I did get 5 yards, apparently. The stat said. I don't remember moving. I remember grabbing the ball and dying.
You probably ran forward to catch the ball, and your momentum took you
yep,
for it.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
So that was my first little lick of it all. And from that, like, I realized that I love performing and being in uncomfortable situations and using that stress to get to wherever we're going to go. And as we get through this, you're going to realize, like, it bodes very well into our industry, which you both know. So throughout high school, playing all the sports, I was really focused on actually engineering and architecture, which is kind of weird.
Where did that come from?
I have no clue. Now my son Lincoln loves building shit, and I can see it now. So it must be in there. It must be like the math, the numbers. I have no idea. I'm not an artist though, so designing stuff was always really interesting. But I did welding. I did woodworks. I really thought I was going to be a welder and go that route because it's good money and it's kind of fun to do. You get to burn shit and stick metal to metal.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun putting stuff together and watching something actually get built in front of your eyes. I mean, there's a
super tangible.
Yeah, exactly. You
And
can see this. I built this. There's a lot to that.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. And then, throughout high school, the recruiting process, which I think is one of the, I don't know what it is now because it's been a couple years, but it's a shitty process for athletes. I don't think it's designed well for the kids. It's designed for the schools to essentially find a bunch of slaves to get on their teams, as opposed to like finding the right kid to put in a successful situation. And so going through that process just sucked.
How did, and this is something that I went through and Lisa went through as well. How was the process, handled at Westside?
Yeah.
Like how was it processed? I know you only got a specific amount of visits this year and one visit this year, whatever it might be, and then you're taking time off school. You have to miss practice if you take time off school, or you can go on the weekends, but you can't go during the week. Like how is that process handled?
In football, it was a little different. So since we play on Fridays, we can always go to the games on that weekend. So we would leave early. But the initial process was very archaic because we had cassette tapes. That's what our film was on. So you had to mass produce these tapes and mail them to all of these schools, which is not efficient, by the way. I promise you, it's not a very efficient thing to do. So it started there, and then coaches would come in, they'd pull you out of class, which was really cool because
you're out of class.
You gotta get out of class, right? So you're like, I want all of them.
Yeah.
Early on sophomore year, you're like, I want all of them. Senior year, like, I'm tired. I don't want Nebraska Wesleyan. Like, I don't want to get out of class for this. So once you like whittled it down a little bit, then it was just free for all of where you wanted to go, right? In football, you only got 5 overnights visits that you could do.
Where'd you go
in a year? Obviously,
you remember?
Nebraska, you and I, were the main like 2 overnights. Oklahoma was another one. That's when they all had the fullback and ran the I.
Yeah,
and then they stopped doing that my senior year. Yay! And then I ended up at Drake, who had a fullback, and then they switched next year. So it's just how that works. But the toughest part of the recruiting process is you're going to all these camps, you're going to overnights, you're visiting everybody. You truly just don't know anything as the athlete. You're just having fun, high on life.
Yeah.
But the things that come into it, like not everyone gets a full ride, which when you're a kid, you're like, everyone gets a full ride. That's all you think of.
Well, that's what a scholarship means to a lot of kids, is they think a scholarship means my school's paid for.
For sure.
Hard telling, but that's the furthest thing from the truth.
Oh, it's so far.
Furthest thing from the truth.
So like financially, I'm thinking that, right?
Yeah.
Because my family has no money. My grades are decent enough. I'm an athlete. That's what's happening. And then you start like getting into the details of the offers you have and looking at them, and you're like, these aren't they're not all full rides. Like they're halvesies and like 3/4 and quarters and zeros, and you're like, wait, no one told us about the financial aspects
Right.
of one just being
Going to school.
student. Yeah. Let alone being
Books.
an athlete, right? Things they don't tell you also is like, yeah, you can eat the cafeteria food, but like you still need food after that. You still need shoes and all. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it that we're not all Oregon, right?
Yeah.
We don't all get free gear 24/7, especially in the smaller schools. And so it's like, those are the things that no one really talk to you about. And you don't know those until you're in it. And that's what's part of the whole recruiting that kind of sucks. Not to mention, for me, getting into, going to Drake and deciding to go there, my official visit was during a blizzard. My best bud, Steve Flynn, we'll have him on, well, probably this one maybe, but we're for sure have him on the No BS Goon Squad. He coaches at Drake now. So it's a blizzard, right?
Welcome to Iowa.
I'm late because my grandpa had to take me because my dad dropped out. It was just a whole thing. So now I'm like just flustered. We can't really visit too much stuff because there's a blizzard. Coach Ash at that time was the one who recruited us, and he's very well known, been at Drake for like 100 years at that time. So we all get on board, and then July, before we get here, Ash leaves, goes to Montana State. So now we are a full class of recruits walking into a situation that we know zero people. Well, there was a couple coaches. Coach Charles, RIP, was the one who was like heavy recruiting me. He was still here. But outside of that, it was like nobody.
And that's so much different than nowadays too. Like if a coach leaves and that's the coach that recruited you or that was the head coach, it's one of those situations where if it's a altering to the program basically, then you have every opportunity to decommit, move with that coach, or go wherever you want.
Portal, whatever that is. Like,
yeah, I mean, the opportunities for these kids to just change schools nowadays is crazy.
And I think it's great. So that's what I mean by like think of recruiting now. I think the power with this transfer portal and all the rules is more so in the hands of the athlete.
Absolutely, and it gives them a voice, right?
Yeah.
It gives them a chance. You're not just locked into this school. Now, some kids, I will say, probably abuse that right, but at the same time, it is their right, and they have every opportunity to use it, so
Hey,
use it how
Right.
you
I
want.
mean, they
getting
want
paid.
what's best for them,
correct.
whether it's academics or
Exactly.
athletics. And they got to
Exactly.
find the best place, the best fit.
They
It's
finally
not
get
where
a
they're at.
choice
Right.
for once, right? Even when you get down to the rules of redshirting, we only could play 4 quarters, and then it's burnt after that. They can play like 4 games now.
Yeah, it's
they
insane.
can get into 4 games. 4 games is a lot different than 4 quarters.
Oh yeah, and that's where for myself, like wrestling's so much different. Like you get to wrestle in all these opens, you get to do this stuff, and Coach Rob always says this, and he says it the best, where he's like, wrestle your way out of a red shirt. Don't just plan on redshirting.
Right.
Don't plan on that, because in the future there's unforeseen circumstances that happen, and you can burn that red shirt later on. But just be the guy right away, and not just the guy in the room, but the guy in the country, the best guy in the nation. Like that's what you got to do. Prove yourself. Don't just assume you're going to redshirt because you're young.
Right.
He just said that recently too. He says it all the time, but he just said it recently, and I'm like, gosh, what I would do to go back in that room and do it all over again.
Right. I would love it. I would love it.
So you chose Drake even after a blizzard?
Yes. Yeah, that was our joke. Flynn and I's joke. We roomed together freshman year too. It was the place to be. Now it was the offense that I wanted to play in, which switched up relatively quickly. And I ended up going to play linebacker, which then I talked to my coach, which is now the head coach at Westside. I was like, why didn't I play linebacker to begin? Because I loved the hell out of it. I think between being a true fullback and linebacker, like those are my callings. So that was the main reason, right? Loved Flynn, loved the guys that we got to meet. I didn't really care about the campus because it was all locked. So like I wasn't going in to see the buildings. I wasn't caring about academics,
Yeah.
And so obviously I knew it was a good school, et cetera. Between that, having a gray shirt at Nebraska and then a gray shirt at UNI, and then my buddy Kyle Wheeler, who was on my travel team for my 8th grade, he actually it was between me and him for South Dakota, and he took the scholarship to South Dakota. So, which is kind of funny because that's where my wife went to school. So it's like all full circle. But those are my main schools. And, I chose Drake education and for the offense I wanted to play, and started there, right? So we started playing. Freshman year was crazy. Got in some trouble, right? We talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Going to jail. It was always fun.
Yeah.
It happens, things happen. We didn't have a coach.
It has
That was
not
between our
happened to me.
transition of coaches. We had no coach.
So there,
It was game on.
So you're
if we're
blaming
ta-
it on no mentorship, no.
well, if we're
So
if
you
we're
could do whatever
talking-
you wanted without a coach.
That's what we thought.
Oh, okay.
Well, if we're
Not what it
talking,
was,
we're
true.
if we're just being real, like when you're leaving high school, I think 2 classes need to happen your senior year. There needs to be like a legit life skills class.
Correct.
That's like, hey, just because you're out of your parents' house and you're in a college dorm or you're in a college house or something like that, or apartment, there's rules that still apply for society that they always applied. You just didn't necessarily have them at home.
Right.
And then 2, just because you have $15 in your bank account or whatever it is, doesn't mean that you're on top of the world and you can go out and do whatever you want with it. Like so many kids go into more and more debt during college because they're just not smart with their money and they were never taught how to be smart with that.
And back then they used to give like loans. Like you could just always get a loan. And then the loan didn't always have to go for school. You'd get more loan than you did for school. And now you have cash. Think about that.
Oh yeah, you're
Like,
flush with cash.
All flush with cash. Now the rules are a little tighter and all that stuff. But like you take an 18-year-old and you give him a couple $1,000s and most things are spent, you know where it's going.
Probably in a weekend. I remember credit
Done
card tables, like just credit card table. Go to this one, this one, this one. Which one am I going to choose?
Oh yeah, or the people that just send you a credit card in the mail and it's like, here's your credit card, you're approved. Just go out.
You're 18.
Yeah,
You're ready.
Yeah, you're ready. Just go out and use it,
Right.
and then
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Right. So ended up going to Drake, obviously. I started out as an accounting major.
Wah, wah.
Guys, my first exam was a blank piece of paper, and I put my name and the date on it and looked at it and went, oh shit.
Was it multiple choice?
You had to recreate an income statement and balance
Oh.
sheet based upon whatever information that they gave you. Bryn Dortle, who was probably one of the best pitchers at Drake, who I think she's at Bama now, coaching softball. Also my hall, but definitely tried to do it myself and was like, I'm hoping to get caught cheating so I can go back and study and take it by myself. Because I'm looking at a blank piece of paper, not knowing what to do. I could write balance sheet and income statement.
That's a start.
I got
That's
a
start.
40. I scraped out a 40. I'm pretty sure I got 20 points for my name. And I got a 40% and realized that day that accounting,
It's perfect for you.
it is not my thing.
that's why you just partner with one.
Partnered with one, which we'll get to later. But yeah, so started accounting, immediately switched that first semester, went to finance. And our track there was finance with a minor, they call them concentrations, but they're minors. Business law and insurance. My business law teacher, Luann Simpson, was one of the first, I believe, first judges, female judges in Des Moines. Is a badass. Like, she made me sit in the front row. She called us out, and we had to. It wasn't just like a multiple choice. Like, you had to be an attorney to answer her questions. Like, facts prove it, double prove it, triple prove it, and then rebuttal when she gets at you. And it was from that day forward that I knew 2 things. One, I like law, but I'm not going to more school. I love figuring processes and things out, and then knowing my background and my family, realizing, hey, we're not very good with money, that whole thing threw me into a spin of, I got to take care of people. On top of that year, started working at the Boys and Girls Club, which was just off Drake campus at that time, and realized that we have a very huge financial education problem in our country. Come to find out, it's the world, but in our country, and that all combination of things that happened that freshman and sophomore year triggered me into getting into our industry.
Love it. We're happy you're here.
All right, so you're leaving school, and you want to kind of get into this industry and start helping people out and help with that financial literacy. What was kind of your first step into the industry, and where'd that first job kind of come about?
Yeah, so it was 2011. I started an internship at Modern Woodmen of America. Got my life and health immediately. By the way, it was one test, not two. It's fantastic. And so I had basically that season left in that fall. So I only had half a year left. So I started with them that spring. Ended up going to Africa for football that May, and then outside of that, it was just training and then training and work. For those that don't know, they're an insurance company. They have BD and all that other stuff, but mainly insurance. And so I was selling life insurance, right, and going down that realm, which is good and bad. But all three of us have been in that side of the things of how it's, get 4 life insurance sales, 1031, blah blah blah, which is cool, good. Life insurance is important. We still deal with that, but it was a learning experience for sure. And then so I was on their pathway to leadership. Became a managing partner within a year and a half of going full time. So full time in 2012, June of 2013, I believe. Maybe I have my math off, but was managing partner. So now I have a team. Now I have to recruit. Not only do I have to recruit, I also then still have to do those numbers. Learned a lot. I've went to so many conferences. I have a lot of good friends that I wish I was still closer to from that company. Learned. I thought it was a great learning opportunity. Learned what I wanted to do. Figured out exactly where I wanted to go. On top of all of that, while being in a city that I didn't grow up in and getting everything right. So I was successful enough to get to where I'm at because of essentially LinkedIn at that time. LinkedIn was relatively new. It's not like today where you get 1,000 emails of, hey, let's grab coffee. Or I saw we're in the same industry or blah, blah, blah. Right? I get
we have this similar friends.
Yeah.
Similar connections.
Yes, absolutely.
Bob told me that you wanted to talk. I don't know a Bob, so I don't know how you did that. All those things in our industry now, that's how I did it. I would travel back and forth to Omaha probably once or twice a week. And then on top of just meeting as many people as possible. To get me to the point of where we're at. And I ended up getting fired, actually, from Modern Woodmen. For my regional director, we didn't see eye to eye. And the reason we didn't see eye to eye is because I wanted to be the fiduciary, which I was, and build plans. And if that plan so happened to have life insurance in it, which they all do at some point, then we do it, right? The plan's the most important. Life insurance is very, very important. However, it might not be the first thing you have to do. It might be step 6, 10, 3, 4, 1. It doesn't matter because, one, like we do now, we have to make sure the cash flow is there. Before, we used to just sell life insurance. I'm sure you can attest to this. We think it fits. We don't know their true budget. We don't know anything that it really fits. We just know that they have the needs analysis to get the life insurance. I don't know how it's going to affect their budget.
Right, and I think a big thing is doing that budget breakdown now. It's every single little expense. Whereas a lot of the times in the insurance industry, it's let's get some high level numbers. And if there's a savings or if there's a small cash flow in those high level numbers, then we can allocate it towards that insurance.
Right.
That doesn't tell the full picture. It doesn't paint any picture for us. It gives us, again, just like I said, very high level in scribbles and maybe an outline, but we don't know any of those details.
No, not at all. So, get let go there, trying to spin a little bit. We just moved into our house. We just had our youngest at that point. So trying to figure things out. Call my buddy Oscar Mondragon. And didn't know he had a partner at that time, his partner Zach Majors, and said, guys, hey, I know you went out on your own. They left Woodmen as well. Mm-hmm. Hey, how do you start your own thing? And so Oscar was like, I'll get back to you. And we can talk through that. Sorry to hear all the things I haven't. Immediately calls me back, and Zach's on the line. Never met Zach. He's like, why don't you just join our firm? We'll have an Iowa branch. And I'm like, well, how the hell does that work? So we went through the details that next week and stuff. And like a month and a half later, officially in Iowa, we have Majors and Mondragon running. And now I'm running that branch, and I'm now doing exactly what I wanted to do. Took me a little bit to transition everybody and get an understanding, because this world, as we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about, is vastly different than what we left to what we're doing today. And so grew it there. Moved a couple of people over, had advisors, building clientele, focused on, doing financial plans on top of everything else. So did that for, it was 2017 of May. We fast forward to 2020 I'm working with them, and we're just growing. And then it's time to change. I changed their brand. Instead of Majors and Mondragon, which is their last names, they went to Centric Advisors, which I was part of transitioning and helping with them with that. And I think it was a great move. You have to do that for the brand. You can't just have your name on everything. And so our relationship grew. We're, doing things. And then we start to get into, up here, you guys weren't there, but we're starting to get into what we deemed alternative, and I hate alternative investment words. It's just an investment, right? So my business
What's
partner,
a better word for it?
an investment.
Investment.
It's just an investment.
Yeah.
Right?
It's considered alternative by the archaic
people.
The archaic mindset
people.
of this industry. It's considered alternative because it's not the norm.
Different.
Correct. It's not the norm. However, alternative in our space is deemed risky, right? It's when we hear it, we think more risk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is the stock market more risky than a commercial building that has all its tenants on 10-year leases?
No.
Good question.
If someone said that was more risky, then they've got to get the hell out of here, right? And so the people deemed alternative, and through obviously some hedge funds and real estate and all the things that aren't stocks, bonds, mutual funds into that pool. However, the risk and returns, they're not the same. They're definitely not the same. And in our side of investments, the risk can be relatively the same with much greater returns, which includes depreciation and taxes, et cetera. So we are doing a lot more of that.
Yeah,
We're doing stuff for Legacy Fiduciary, which is not only our self-directed side, but legacy planning, which you can watch that episode. It'll be out soon.
Plug.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
after, I have no idea. As well as us doing family office for a couple of clients. Now we're doing more business stuff. We've got Trinity, which again, another plug. You can watch that one on our commercial real estate. We've got Brian doing taxes. Again, you'll see him. And so we're doing all these things that are getting really, really complex. And so I sat down with the guys and said, hey, I think it's time for us up here to break away, because now that we're doing Forex and we've got our hedge fund that's about to come off, compliance is saying you got to open the whole firm up to audit. So not only does the firm have to have an audit, the fund has to have an audit, and then you have to do surprise audits on top of that. And I'm sitting here going, I don't want to put them through that with their business, because they have a lot more advisors, they have a lot more clients. And so I said, guys, I don't think that's a good fit for us, because it's going to open you guys up to more risks and costs and everything. And we're going to stay relatively small. So therefore we're not going to have thousands and thousands of clients. It'd be cool if we did, but probably not, because we're so focused on those things, those alternatives, right? We're focused on the things that are not the norm. And so, I let them know, and we still partner with them on, our premium finance cases and our life insurance and some other back end stuff on the broker or on the custodian side. So still good relationship, always going to build on that. Thankful for them to even get us to this point of October of 2020, where we officially launched.
Cheers.
Black Mammoth.
Cheers to that. Absolutely.
And
these guys will hear.
By the way,
go ahead.
do you know what I'm drinking?
That's what I was just going to plug into. So with Black Mammoth, and these guys, everyone, you'll hear this later on, simple, bold, kind of in your face. And same thing with this podcast, No BS Wealth. We're going to be in your face. We're going to talk about those hard topics that nobody likes to talk about. This is a pretty bold drink as well, from what most people would say. So, we've all talked about, our different drinks that we like. What's kind of your drink of choice today?
Today and every day, if I could. But I can't, because I can't find it, right? It's a rare thing.
Is that
to find.
unique?
Yeah. Well, and they purposely do it. I can't find it. We tried it in Colorado. I had people looking. We can't find it. So, little hint there for everyone listening. Blanton's, baby. Blanton's bourbon. This is my drink. And you're right. Let me get a little taste so I can remember.
There we go.
Oh, it's so bold. It's so smooth. It has a very rich history too. So that's my drink of choice. It says a lot about me. Obviously, I'm bold, and we'll get into why we named the company we did. I also think I'm kind of smooth. I'm a smooth talker. No, I just like to talk. I don't know if it's smooth at all. But also, it's a rare thing. Blanton's itself isn't rare per se, but they have rules behind it, and they have certain clientele that it can go out to in terms of like Hy-Vee and whatever, which makes it demand, right?
It's hard to come by. We gotta finish that alphabet of horses, right?
Yeah, we sure do. I think we have 3 left. We have 1 full bottle here. I got 2 halves or 2/3 at home, and then we got a little half. So we are running.
That's low.
We are on reserves. Reserves, and I don't like it.
Blanton's,
so anybody,
Blanton's is more of a celebratory.
Blanton's, please, I will pay shipping, whatever. But it ties in very well to who Black Mammoth is, and what we're all about too. One, we're about having fun, right? We're going to be here for people. Obviously, we drink on our show. We drink during the day. We drink at night. It's not all about alcohol, but we like to have fun, right?
It just sounded like it was.
It did. It did.
Anytime, any place.
Anytime, any place. We will be there. But also it could just be a cocktail that doesn't have alcohol. Anyways, and that's where it came from. So when we were building the name, I wanted black in it, right? For a multitude of reasons. One, black owned. Being in the black in our industry or in wealth, it's a good thing, right? It means you're in profit. It's bold. That color choice will stand out very, very well. It'd be really cool for the logo. It was also 2020, so inherently race wars. I'm gonna throw black in there. Like that was part of those. All the things that come into the black. I had no idea outside of that, right? I wanted it to be bold, simple, not have wealth management on it, not have all that bullshit because it's not. This brand can do a lot of things, and obviously we do a lot of things. And then at that time, Josh was working with us, and his brother Nate. I think it was Nate. I think Nate came up with it.
You get them both mixed up all the time, so I don't know which one.
One of the Claver brothers came up with Mammoth and the background of Mammoth and what that means. And woolly mammoths, obviously, back in the Jurassic days, I think, Thoracic, whatever, doesn't matter, would lead their tribe, I don't know what they're called, to water or food, right? But not only did they lead themselves, they led other animals away from prey to food and water. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're leading people to prosperity to build their wealth, right? To grow and transcend their wealth. And that's what Black Mammoth is.
Yeah.
We're bold, always thinking about money being in the profit, and we're leading you to these different concepts, strategies, anything to build your wealth that is not going to be normal. And we're going to be loud about it. And we know that, hey, this is our way of doing it in a way that might trigger something in your brain to be like, oh shit, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. And you mentioned it, and honestly, pray is a good word for some of the everyday people that are out there. Sometimes you guys are preyed upon in the industry, and it's a sad thing to see a lot of times, but you're preyed upon because you have some sort of money that you can allocate towards some random plan or some random thing that somebody can put together for you. And all that is there's a few quick buttons and a few signatures that you can sign, and now your money's kind of in their hands.
Yeah.
And that's pray is, as prehistoric maybe that it is, like that's a kind of a good word.
It is
for a lot of people.
And it's what our industry has been about and is slowly dying, thankfully. AUM, right? Everything's based on AUM, and what you guys don't know, that's assets under management. So you have a bunch of investments and accounts. Majority of advisors are always trying to get that, right? They're always going after that. And we don't per se, like obviously we want to help you. But the difference is, and I'm going to lead into this, and a story literally just happened because I got my haircut today, barber with Tay. It's going to lead into this of your money mindset. The reason they attack that stuff is because they only care about doing things and growing your wealth deemed in your investments, because it makes it feel good, and that's what everyone focuses on. How much do I have in my investments, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the opposite way of thinking. Shouldn't we be thinking about, I have this much coming in, so how can I take care of my family and the loved ones, which is also wealth, by the way, and then be able to do investments, as opposed to our industry being so focused on investments and growing your wealth based upon only money. It's wrong. So I'm in the barber chair today, and Tay, Artavius, shout out, does a great job, by the way. fading like crazy. He asked.
It looks good. It looks good.
I appreciate it. He brings up this point. He's like, I keep getting offers from friends and everybody to be a mortgage lender to go sell cars, and you can make really good money doing it. I just don't know what I want to do, and I'm at a crossroads. Do I give 110% into my barbershop, or do I kind of like just find another avenue, right? Because I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. And I told him has nothing to do with the physical part of you going to find money. It has everything to do with your mind. Your money mindset is whacked. Your money is actually abusing you in this relationship. And he's like, what? Did one of those, right? Because that's deep. That's not something you just say. And he goes, what? What? And I go, well, you see here, when you're poor, and it doesn't matter your skin color, when you're poor, you live paycheck to paycheck. You care about money over a lot of things because you have to make that decision. You have to cut things out and focus on expenses. And Brian and I talk about this all the time of stop focusing on cutting expenses. Yes, they need to be under control. But why are we not focusing on making more money? Why would you not focus on bringing in more income? Because if you bring in more income, the expenses
that'll get taken care of.
Will be taken care of, right?
Right.
The wealthy people, and I mean wealth in terms of they have money, but also just are comfortable in life, right? Do that. They're focusing on how can I make and create more wealth. I'm not really focused on my expenses. Focus on the negatives. Negative shit's going to happen to you. Focus on the positives. Positive things are going to happen to you. Producing income is a positive. Focusing on negatives is an expense. Focusing on expenses is a negative, right? And so he's like, I've never thought about it that way. I said, it's been drawn upon you your whole entire life. So right now you're thinking of, how do I cut my expenses and make this thing work, as opposed to what are some ideas to make this thing grow, right? And then I went even further and said, what are you passionate about? You're not passionate about selling cars, mortgage. And he goes into this really cool story about how he started cutting hair. He started cutting his own hair because he used to go to the barbershop all the time, and his dad told him no, probably because of money. And so he started doing his own lineup. And then that transpired into college, where he's doing his teammates. Then he's doing the whole college, and by his senior year, he's the go-to guy.
He's the guy.
And it built him the passion to where he's at now, right? And he's never gotten past a certain point. He said, in my savings, it only goes up to a certain number, hits it, and bounces back down. Keeps doing that. In the stock trading game, we call that a what?
Correction?
A resistance.
Oh, the resistance line, support line?
Yep.
I thought you meant coming back down as the correction. I'm like,
too.
I mean,
That
it's
too.
correcting itself right there.
But even in our world, we have resistance and supports, right?
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
our savings accounts, that's what happens. We all probably go through it. There's a certain number that is really tough to get over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Physically, it's not. It's all mental, isn't it? Because physically, if it's at 1,000, I have over $100 in my pocket. I can put it in. I'm over it, and let's keep going forward. But what happens is, even if I put the 100 in, I'm going back to 1,000, probably 800, 600. Oh shit! Now I got to get back up to it, right? And then I get back up to it. And I said that has nothing to do with the physical piece of your life. It has everything to do with the mental. The money mindset of yours is really negative. It's bad. It's taking advantage of you and getting you into this vicious circle. And I said, what people need to realize is that if they can control that piece and start focusing their energy on things that make them happy and things that make them money, then the rest of it will take care of itself. He's like, that's easier said than done. And I said, yes,
Yeah.
obviously. But if you don't do it, where are you going to end up? Right? You're going to end up same spot.
Same place.
Or you're going to end up selling cars or
selling
being
cars and doing
a
something
mortgage
not
loan.
happy.
Exactly.
And he's like, but they make really good money. He's like, my one friend makes like $240 a year. I said, congratulations. But he also probably works 12-hour days, including holidays, weekends, and everything else. He's like, yeah, but it's good money. And I said, that's because you're valuing money over your time. You start valuing your time over your money, and things will change for you. Because if your time is so important, you know what your value is. You now know what you need to do to create the money, the income, to support the time that you want to spend on certain things. Now, that time could be education, our time spent right now on a podcast, right? Even we know on this, even the podcast, This is expensive for us to do, right? We're filming today for like an hour. My rate as a CFP and everything that I have is about $250. You guys aren't, so we'll cut it in half. We'll say $100. Right now we're spending $450 just to produce this one thing, let alone the cost of everything else, the equipment, our tech, our marketing, everyone putting into this one show or this one clip, right? But we know the value of it because of what we're talking about to people is going to change their lives, ipso facto, hopefully come into work with us, right? And now we produce that income because we're passionate about those things. We're cool with spending that capital doing that. If we were talking about, accounting. Ha!
Accounting.
If we were talking about accounting for this hour, I'd vomit. I would throw up because like that would be a waste, right? That's not helping us.
I don't know if we could get an hour of
I think we
just
got a
talking
minute.
about accounting. I think
Maybe a minute.
a minute's pretty good. A minute's a good clip.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of ums.
There will be a lot of ums for these guys.
More income, the liability goes over here. Put a negative. Nope,
Yeah.
don't do a negative. Has to be parentheses. I don't know, right? And he's like, I've never thought about it that way, ever. And to me, which was really cool because it happened today, sums up who we are at Black Mammoth and what we're all about. We're focused on that money mindset. That's our job. That's why we've created this podcast too, of getting people to understand that what we're saying isn't the norm. It is what's right. It's not the norm. And this whole thing takes time.
Yeah.
It's damn near psychology. Like we're therapists, money mindset therapists, right? Although there's actual financial counselors out there. I'm not licensed that way. Compliance, right? We're here for that, and everything we do is based upon that. And it was just amazing that he said that. We had that conversation. And then one of his buddies came in and was talking about, I don't know what the hell he was talking about. And then Tay used that same vernacular against him about his mindset. And I was like, that's it. That's what we're here for.
But it's
Now,
it's
it
cool
needs
to see
change,
that.
but it's cool to see him say that. And it's really cool that it just happened today.
Yeah.
I didn't make this up. I promise.
But it's cool to see those things, and that's just like a teacher or a coach. Like it's to impact maybe that one person a day or two people a day, whatever it might be. But impact and change maybe one little step. It's not going to be an overnight thing, like you said. It's a long time process. But that doesn't mean your money necessarily should be tied up for a long time. And I'll go back to the AUM and stuff like that. The big reason that people focus on AUM is the longer that they have your assets is the longer that they're making money off of you.
100%. It's usually, it's not 100%. It's usually 1%.
Yeah.
Right? 1 to 1.5%.
Right.
But that's what they charge. I mean, to go even further into that, we're going in the weeds.
Yeah, absolutely.
To even go in further into that, yes, that's exactly what they're doing. To make their 1.5%, which then is probably their GDC is 50 to 80% of that, right?
Yeah.
That's what the advisor gets. Even further of that, they're usually sticking you in funds, mostly, right, in the BD world. Now ETFs are very hot, so we're going in a little more ETFs. But there's also expenses inside of those. So not only is it the 1.5 for the advisor, now we're talking about 0.05 to 1.5 in terms of the expense ratio inside the fund.
Absolutely.
No one talks about those, right? And that's why what everyone's deeming AUM the race to zero, because fees are coming down. It's not because of that. It's because of the true meaning of what we're supposed to do as professionals is the planning, the fiduciary side, the family office, all that stuff, because that means more than their $100,000 that they have in some brokerage.
Yeah. No, exactly. And again, that's a long-term investment, but we're trying to change a long-term mindset.
Oh yeah,
Those are two very, very, very vastly different things.
so different. It's fun. We're gonna have many episodes on that. We'll probably bring it up multiple episodes and its own.
Yeah, we can use that part as a teaser to several episodes in the future.
Oh,
And then again and again and again.
again. But-
When did you realize mindset was so important?
Oh, what was that trigger? It was my mom. And for those who don't know, I lost my mom on October 24th of this year, 2021. And it was her when I was want to say 12, 13, somewhere in there. She was working at a security company, 12-hour shifts, and making really, really good money. I don't know exactly what she was making, but I would say 60 plus. And back then, 60 plus was a really good number, let alone it's still a good number. And we're living a good life, and she's buying all these good things, and they were going to get her into leadership and move her up. And she said no, I don't want to. And they said, okay, well, bye, right? And so then she ended up working at a bar, and things and money changes, right? Now that is not necessarily money mindset, but it started me down this mindset track of her mindset was she's not good enough to be in a leadership role. She's not good enough to go up a ladder. My mom had an eighth grade education, got her GED and everything, but like that's her mindset of where she was. She never would go above and beyond. And one of the best stories about my mother is she did that. I woke up middle of the night one night. I think it was before a game, and the police has this bright. Why do they have bright light? They're lights. They're flashlights. Brightest thing in the world. So I'm sleeping, and I wake up, and they're pulling me out of bed because I don't. Why they think I'm a suspect? I know exactly why they think I'm a suspect. I'm blurry. I don't know what's going on. Walk down the hall, and there is blood, like a murder scene from our front door through our living room or through our hallway to our kitchen, and blood everywhere. I'm like, well, I know my mom's screaming because she's screaming, "That's my son! Get your hands off of him! Let him go back to sleep." So I know my mom's alive. But blood everywhere. I am now like fuzzy, like shocked. Am I in a dream? What's going on? Come to find out that our neighbor, some guys basically were, I don't know if it was rape or whatever, to his girlfriend, and he came storming in to defend, right? And they gashed him with a knife and split his scalp open. So his scalp is open. My mom, who is a nurse, was a nurse, a lot of nurse stuff in our family, runs in, screams at the guys. They run out. She grabs him, pulls him into our kitchen, and bandages him up, calls the 911, gets the ambulance there. She ends up getting the key to the city. And it's amazing, right? So I know she has it in her, but the mindset of not being able to go above and beyond led me to realize that mindset is more powerful than anything else, which leads to money mindset. And then the root of everything I found out in life is money. Who would have thunk, right? Money runs everything in our worlds. So what is it about money that runs our world? We let money run our world. Therefore, ergo, albeit all those words, it's our mindset. And so that's how it came to be. And then all the research and hours and time and everything I've done in my life, I've always just reverted back to like, how does the mindset dictate things, and ended up, hey, it's money mindset. And it's the most powerful thing I think there is in the world. And we need to change that. And by we, I don't mean just the people at this table. Literally everybody needs to change that. Everybody, all financial advisors, planners, bankers, financial consultants, anybody in the world that's talking about this. It's okay. You'll be all right. You'll survive. Lost it. Everyone needs to be a part of this change. And if we don't change that money mindset, then we're going to repeat things.
Yeah.
Drastically.
Yeah. I think a huge part of that story that you just shared, and we'll talk about it a lot later. We talk about it within our process as well at Black Mammoth, is it's a time. And you mentioned it like crazy. Your mom waits a split second in that, or she waits a few minutes to let these guys run out or do whatever. That guy's in a pool of blood. He's laying there. Who knows what happens in that situation? Right? So she took action. She made a choice. Okay, I have to act now. Otherwise, something bad's going to happen.
Yep.
And that's something sometimes that people need to hear with your money. The time is to start now. And if you keep kicking the can down the road, you're losing out on a lot of gains and a lot of things that can be very, very helpful in your financial life.
In our nerd world, we call that time value money, right?
I wasn't going to say the exact same thing, but yes,
terms, right?
yes.
But also, you need to act immediately. And I don't want to hear the bullshit of, I don't have money, right? I don't have enough money to work with you. We don't have enough assets. I don't have any complexities. That's all bullshit. That's all you, them, people, us, whatever, hiding behind something because we're not comfortable enough with the relationship with money to just go get it done. Because physically, we do most of it.
Yeah,
except for one thing, right? We last week we went over this. The hardest thing for our new clients is that there's a little homework that has to get done on the front end.
Yeah.
Budget, statements, etc. That is the hardest thing. That is the thing that they need to get done. But they need to work through that because it helps the process mentally. And then we take all that off their shoulders.
No, absolutely. And then a lot of times it puts into perspective for those people, like, where is my money going? What's my money doing? And it helps them actually sit down and think about that. And as much as people don't think that there's complexities in their life, when it comes to organizing your budget and organizing your costs and expenses and whatever it might be, money coming in, money going out, it can get pretty complex sometimes.
Absolutely.
Your complexities are different than my complexities. My complexities are about to skyrocket having, a new child on the way or some other life event, new job, another child. John Deere, for example, that's a perfect example right now with real life stuff. There was a strike that happens, and that changes a lot of people's world. They go from making X amount of dollars on the line to striking with the union and making X amount of dollars because they're union dues and different stuff like that. Income fluctuates. Everything fluctuates. Everything's ever changing, and we just talked about this.
Life happens or shit happens.
Yeah, stuff happens, and just because you don't think that you have complexities, I don't know that I'd go that far.
No, I wouldn't either. And also, you're not the expert with money. We are. People in our industry, we're the experts, right? So I use this analogy a lot, and we use this one in insurance as well. But like, everyone has an expert who's a doctor, an attorney, right? Hell, even a banker.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
A planner, advisor, a counselor, whatever you want to call us, they don't have one of those because they don't have enough money for it. They think that they can, people think that they control and make the best moves for their own money, which is funny because you can't unless you spend hours, and all the hours that we do every day, it's just impossible. And that's why we have jobs. But people want to do that, and that goes into that money mindset of the value, I believe, the value of time. How many hours, if you weren't in this industry, would it take you to do all your personal stuff? To become an expert enough to make good decisions?
I don't even want to think about it. I
don't know. Countless?
It's every single day, every single night that you would have to sit down to try and figure that out.
And what happens? Do things change in our world? Does market go like this?
Oh,
do
absolutely.
Taxes change?
Absolutely.
Rules come out?
Yeah.
You can't stay up on all that.
No.
The legal behind it, all of that stuff. And that's what people pay us for. That's weird. The board was moving. That's what they pay us for, right? And we got to get people to understand that mindset.
Yeah.
Of their time is valuable. Part of our cost is their time. They don't have to learn it, right? They hire us to take care of them and take all that weight off their shoulders. We will teach them as we go, but there's no way someone to download all this at once. It's just not possible. That thing keeps moving. Looks like a glitch. It's freaking me out, man.
I go back, and you mentioned the perfect example as a doctor, and that's always a great example. I'm not going to sit here and try and diagnose my own stuff, or I'm not going to go to you and say, hey, Stoy, I think my shoulder's dislocated, or I think that I might have this infection. You're not going to come here and say, oh yeah, Ryan, you have that.
First of all,
if it's a dislocated
best friend, Sean Slavin's a surgeon. I'm a doctor at this point because my knowledge. So that's a bad analogy because, yeah, I would take care of you. I got the rules. I know the rules.
But at the same time, you're not going to... I'm pretty sure, and I'll use this example all the time because I love it. There's times where I might have stomach pain, and I might Google it, and WebMD comes up. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
That's
cancer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. But at the same time, I'm a male. That's
not work.
That doesn't equate, right? So those are the things. You have a doctor, and yeah, your insurance helps, but there's expenses that go along with that, right? Same thing with us. We're kind of that insurance company for your finances. Something goes awry, we're still here to tell you what's in the best interest for you and making sure that nothing completely explodes and your financial world doesn't crumble and die, basically.
Exactly. That's why I would say 95 or higher % of our clients during the pandemic, when it happened and it occurred, most of ours made out well. Business owners, obviously, and stimulus and everything that made out, but like they weren't, no one was scrambling, no one was hurting because we had solidified things and we just took care of them. And then they would call us and be like, well, what's going to happen? We'd give them the answer and be like, you're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Now we have to live off a little savings right now. You know, don't go to Jamaica or Hawaii. Oh, wait, you can't. Sweet. Awesome. Stay home. We'll take care of this.
Exactly. Or what's this new loan? What's this new thing? Okay, well, we know it. We've done our research on it. And even if they don't ask, hey, this is something that we're going to look into for you, we might even fill out that application for you.
Right.
We're going to help you.
Do you guys like free money?
Exactly.
No? Oh, well, you're getting it anyway because it makes the most sense for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but yeah, that's me. That's part of my story. We'll go into more details, but I'm just very thankful for where we're at with Black Mammoth, having you on board, where our team is, our podcast, our listeners, our viewers, and where we are going to go with our guests that are coming on and everything that's going to happen, because this voice of what we're doing is going to change things, and it's going to change the attitude and mindset of everybody, and that's what's important.
Yeah, and guys, this is going to be one of the first episodes that rolls out. Getting to know us, getting to know our companies, different stuff like that. So tune in, subscribe, like, share, whatever it might be, whatever social media you're on. We're always going to be on YouTube, so you can look us up that way as well, and we'll get those links out as well. We'll do a good job with our marketing team on that. But if there's any questions, reach out, find our contact information wherever you can, or stop over at our office. I mean, you can come in anytime, knock on the door, say, hey, is this person available? If we're available, we're going to come talk to you. We're not just going to shun you away.
For sure. So cheers.
The preceding program was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities, or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors, including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.